My closet. A black shirt with Bitcoin Cash on. Hi guys, welcome to the live show. Today is a big day. Sunday is a fork day of Bitcoin Cash. There is another fork happening. Bitcoin Cash is forking into two coins, and that's not a bad thing. That's how Bitcoin was designed. Is that if you don't like the way the project is evolving, then you can fork it off, and you can fork it off to implement certain changes that the community did not want, or you could fork it off because while the community is changing certain things that you don't want, and so you fork off to preserve what was there. That's why Bitcoin Cash forked off initially in August 2017 from Bitcoin Core, because Bitcoin Core was about to implement SegWit, which is separating the signatures from the transactions, which is a big change, and at the same time also it really changes the code a lot, but also it would likely also not even do the good thing, which was scaling the block size, and so that's why some people decided to fork off Bitcoin Cash from Bitcoin. Thank you, baby. And may I also present to you my new girlfriend here, Felista, with my son, Mikey. You want to say hi, baby? Yeah? Hi. Yeah, you say hi also, Mikey. Yeah, Mikey, yeah. And when that happened in 2017, August 2017, I already before invested in Bitcoin Cash on the futures market, because I already had sold all my Bitcoin for other coins at the start of 2017, and Bitcoin Cash did that at the right moment, and I was Amaury Sechet, but also a free trader, and some other people were involved in forking off Bitcoin Cash from Bitcoin Core, and that way preserved Bitcoin, because the day after Bitcoin Core implemented SegWit, and instead what Bitcoin Cash did, the Bitcoin Cash fork did, was not implement SegWit but raise the block size, which was the right thing to do. Of course, since then it hasn't gone that well for Bitcoin Cash, because the price at the time was about 10% of Bitcoin Core. December 2017, everything went very high. Ethereum, it went very high. Of the flippening, not of Ethereum Bitcoin Core, but Bitcoin Cash flippening Bitcoin Core. That was the fear in the market, so yeah. But since then, the price of Bitcoin Cash has gone down a lot, and it's really depressed today. For example, Cindy, who is active in the Chinese community, and bitching about Bitcoin Cash, and she was sharing at these all-time low prices. We are now at 0.015 or maybe 0.02. So that's like about 2% of the value of Bitcoin Core today is Bitcoin Cash valued 2%. It used to be 20%, 10 times higher. So let me close this a little for the music. So it is depressed, but at the same time, the fundamentals have improved a lot, because something I wasn't aware a year ago, but one of the reasons why Bitcoin Cash has stalled was that Amaury Sechet was not leading the project well. So he was mainly focused on on copy many changes, because every time you change something different from Bitcoin Core, well, on the next upgrade, it's not so easy to copy paste Bitcoin Core then, because you made certain changes that you also have to transport again to the new client. So he was very hesitant to basically do improvements and innovations on the Bitcoin Cash client. And at the same time, his character was also one of wanting to keep control over the project and not basically allowing people to shine, and allowing other developers to really stand out, and that's of course a problem. So the project stalled a bit on the development level, and on the marketing level, the problem was for the most part, that the cryptocurrency market is becoming more of a more broadly based, and so retail investors have started joining cryptocurrency during the bubble of 2017. Retail investors are mainly statists, people that believe works today is fine. It's okay that government, with a hard hand and with the threat of violence, the country, and it's okay that they use the fiat system to print more and to pay for all kind of stuff like wars or social benefits that disrupt society. So these people are not very informed about what needs to happen and how cryptocurrency can really help in improving the world. They'll just look at Bitcoin as just another investment, a cryptocurrency that just needs to go up in value, but that's it. Like, it doesn't perform, it's not useful for many other things. Even for payments, they think that it's better to use Visa cards or fiat money because, well, it's more practical, and you don't add any value by using Bitcoin. So this is kind of like the public that's still in cryptocurrency for the most part, and yeah, it just takes time to inform yourself, and yeah, the high transaction fees. Yeah, I mean, it's just people that don't really think longer, considering that you can send millions of dollars for both Bitcoin and Ethereum, because Ethereum is also failing on that front. But of course, it will only go up. And so, as an investor, you need to look long term. And if that, yes, more and more people will look at other alternatives. And so, diversified towards, for example, Bitcoin Cash, and that has an impact on the price. Of course, also the price itself also convinces most people. Like, there's nothing more depressing for an average investor than a dropping price. It makes them to sell, and it drop even more. And inversely, there's nothing more convincing for the average investor than a rising price, and it makes them to buy it, and it goes even higher. So these kind of effects have certainly played towards Bitcoin Cash, causing a lower and lower price versus Bitcoin, for example. But there is always a bottom if there are good fundamentals. There's always a bottom in price, in valuation, else that wants to sell, because the only ones that are left are people that believe fundamentally in the project. And I certainly think with Bitcoin Cash we've reached such status, because many people, some people respond, but there are so many Bitcoin Core investors that still hold Bitcoin Cash and can still dump them. That's not true. It's already 3 years that Bitcoin Core investors have been able to split off their Bitcoin Cash and dump them. I mean, if they haven't done it today, they won't do it later, at even lower prices. No. So today, a successful open source cryptocurrency project will see always forks happening, because it will be a vibrant community with a lot of different opinions and a lot of idealism, and of course there will be differences then in opinion that will lead to a group of people forking away from the main project. And with Bitcoin Core, this has happened a lot, especially a couple of years back, not today anymore, but a couple of years back, many forks happened in Bitcoin Core. And these days it's in Bitcoin Cash that you see quite a lot of disagreement and projects and people trying to take over the project, and if that fails, forking off. We saw it with BSV 2 years ago, Bitcoin SV, and today we see it with Amoris Seche, Bitcoin ABC. Bitcoin ABC has been the lead implementation of Bitcoin Cash, and he was the lead developer therefore. But yeah, he tried to implement the dev tax, and he was complaining a lot about not getting enough funding, and of course that didn't bode well with the community. And so today he'll be forking off from Bitcoin Cash, and will have his own coin where he has the dev tax implemented, but Bitcoin Cash very likely, because the majority of miners has signaled in support of no dev tax, in support of the other client, the new client BCHN, which is led by Frieder, who was also one of the people together with Amaury Séchet that forked away from Bitcoin Core in 2017. Well, he now is leading this new client BCHN together with many other people that are involved. Imaginary username. There are so many of reputable Bitcoin Cash developers, also from other clients such as Newt and Bitcoin Verde, and you have different node implementations. But some of these developers have also joined the BCHN node, and it's a collaboration of many developers. And this client has successfully been installed already before the fork today by many exchanges also, because of course the big fight is who's gonna get the Bitcoin Cash name in a BCH ticker. Whenever you have a fork, you also can have a hash war, and today it's possible that Bitcoin ABC pulls out some magic cards and suddenly has after the fork the majority hash power. That's possible today. And in that case, some exchanges, like for example, clients, for example, the hardware wallet Trezor, but some others also, I think it was Bitstamp, and some have declared that they will give the Bitcoin Cash name and the BCH ticker to the project that has the highest hash power, and that could be the Bitcoin ABC fork. But it is very unlikely that that will happen, because well, the majority of miners is not even the majority. It's like 90 or 80% might have signaled for BCHN, and 0% or 1% for the Bitcoin ABC fork. And so it's very unlikely that suddenly, out of nowhere, there will be a majority hash power support by miners, because that would mean that many that have signaled for BCHN suddenly flip today, or some new party with major hash power, maybe from Bitcoin Core, that is possible though, certainly comes in and gives a very big support for Bitcoin ABC. That is a possibility. But even then, even if they have majority hash power, there are only a few exchanges and wallets that actually will look at the hash power to decide upon the name, because there are quite a lot that have already decided on the name even before there is a hash power war. They have decided they will give the Bitcoin Cash name and ticker to the BCHN fork. So even if they succeed with having majority hash power, then the war is not over, and very likely, like, there will come in a lots of support to build hash power for the BCHN fork, and I will be happy to contribute that all to that also. So I think it's probably fair to say that and very like that yeah, Bitcoin ABC is just forking away, and wish them good luck. They have been, like, Amaury Séchet has done a lot of good, but also a lot of bad, and that what's the most beautiful is that Bitcoin Cash is the first major coin that has fired their lead engine, their lead node, their lead client, and this really proves that Bitcoin Cash is decentralized, and much more decentralized, for example, Bitcoin Core, where the lead implementation, Blockstream, the Bitcoin Core client, has no competition whatsoever from any other clients, and also can basically push through all kind of shenanigans and actually, like, bad policies. They are able to push that through without being threatened from their throne. That's not good. It gives way too much power to the developers, because developers are only one part of the ecosystem, and they do have major control, as you see in some cryptocurrencies, also in Ethereum. The main developers, Vitalik, that's also, like, it's Taft, but he also means that government agents could threaten him to censor other transactions, and he can execute that without much resistance from the community, without the risk of being fired. That means it's not an uncensorable cryptocurrency. and it's also all these things are very important. Like that's what gives the real value to a cryptocurrency. The real underlying value is how state capture. How certain are you that you will be able to transact with it in the future, even when certain governments outlaw it or forbid it, or censor it? How sure, therefore, give you the most value from that level, and the most fundamental values are being changed, and up, um, um, but some other values, and that's still shared, for example, by Bitcoin core community also. But some other values are that um, you should be able to transact cheaply on chain, not off chain, on chain. Everybody should be able to do small transactions for small values at a cheap price. That's something that's not shared by the Bitcoin core community. They don't care about that anymore, and therefore it's not really peer-to-peer cash anymore if you can't send small transactions anymore, because as a consequence, you can buy a coffee with it anymore, and merchants will drop it as a currency, and that has happened with Bitcoin Core. It is losing big market share with the merchant community in contrast to Bitcoin Cash. It continues to focus on that and continues to expand on that level, and also, um, so certain values are carried much higher in the Bitcoin Cash community than in others, and that will lead to success, I believe, because every company and every currency, in the end, it's the values that you hold that will show in the product or service that you offer. And if your values are not high, the value of your product or service will also not be high over time. And I think Bitcoin Cash has done a tremendous job here, because it's not an easy task. When the lead implementation tries to push something through, and especially not a lead implementation with a very strong hold on the community, which certainly was the case with Bitcoin ABC just at the start of this year, still in 2020, when they proposed this death tax. Actually, the first reaction of the community was positive, even from me. Actually, it was positive. They still had lots of goodwill, Amoris and Bitcoin ABC, and so of course when yeah, that didn't happen though. Thank you. Welcome to the live show, guys. Happy fork day today for Bitcoin Cash, a big day. And I also raised my exposure myself before the fork, because now you can't. All exchanges have shut down Bitcoin Cash trading and transactions. So now the dealing is done. But a couple days ago, you could still invest in Bitcoin Cash, and the prices continued. Last chance to buy some more before the fork, which I did. I raised it with another 10% my exposure, and sold some Ethereum for it. And it's depressed price and improving fundamentals. I think that's the best you can hope for as an investor. And I find it very high towards the project. The misunderstanding is very high towards the project. Absolute, even believers, Bitcoin Cash believers, are bitching on it or dumping it up off the fork. But of course, when the getting is good, you do have to grab it, because you never know when that period is over. I'm burning here. Wait. Let me put on a shirt. And someone asked me also, Mark, like, why are you so bullish on Bitcoin Cash? Like, yeah, you're loyal towards the project, that's nice, but have you done any research as of late in other projects, cryptocurrency projects, and what their potential is? There are so many innovations in the space. Like, why do you continue to invest in this? And many people believe, actually, like, yeah, my work is good and I've made good calls in the past, good bottom calls, good top calls in cryptocurrency markets, some good calls in other projects like with Tesla. But my biggest mistake is my investment in Bitcoin Cash, and I will pay dearly for it. Many of my followers actually believe that, but I really don't think that's the case. I think actually that, yes, of course, this is a great example of a project where it takes many years for the fruits to bear. to bear fruits and to make capital gains, and I'm still adding more to my market. And if something your position, it's only when you when the fundamentals are weakening, then there is a problem, independent of the price crash. Because I thought, well, actually, a month before that, 2 months before that, already, I actually flipped most of my Bitcoin Cash for Ethereum, because that was the time when Amaury Séchet started pushing through the dev tax. And at the same time, Bitcoin Cash went up versus Ethereum. I was at a ratio of 2. Today we're at a ratio of 0.5. So we're today 4 times lower, or half the price of Ethereum today. But we used to be double the price of Ethereum only at the beginning of this year. But when I saw that happening, we were double the price of Ethereum, while at the same time it looked very risky for Bitcoin Cash, and it looked like the Bitcoin Cash the dev tax might be pushed through successfully. I sold the majority of my Bitcoin Cash for Ethereum. I flipped it because, while the fundamentals were weakening very quickly for Bitcoin Cash, and so then I'm a happy seller when I see fundamentals weaken, especially when the price is relatively high. But today we're not there. We're inverse. We're at the inverse. The price is relatively low, while the fundamentals are very, very strong. And what you see in the broad cryptocurrency market is, yes, we're in an early bull market. Yes, there are new investors joining the cryptocurrency market, but mainly Bitcoin, because that's when you haven't done your research, that's the first thing you pick. Even hedge fund managers, even institutional investors, they are not more advanced than the retail investor. Their level of research is the same, and they look at, okay, yeah, I want to join this next bull market for cryptocurrency. What will I pick? Bitcoin. So that's where the first money goes in, and that's what we're seeing happening today. But it's a rabbit hole, and once you get into it and you start using it, you start studying it more, you discover the other cryptocurrencies, and you also start to discover actually what's not so good about the coin you selected. And at the latest stage in the bull market, the capital disperses and people diversify into other coins. And I believe that Bitcoin Cash will be a great benefactor, or has at least a very high chance to receive much of these funds, because it's also Bitcoin. It's cheaper to transact. There will be more value created on chain. There will be more innovations there. Because you can't really innovate on Bitcoin Core anymore, because of when you have expensive transactions, there's so many applications and use cases that fall off the map that you can't do. But with Bitcoin Cash, you can. But then will people say, yeah, we have also Bitcoin SV. Why not Bitcoin SV then? Well, because for a coin to pump, you need several things. You need, first of all, that it is broadly available on all exchanges. On the major, no, it's available on all. On Coinbase, or on Binance, or Bitstamp, or on Kraken. Like, that's where you need to be. It's on all major exchanges. Even the new one now, PayPal will also start with cryptocurrencies. It's very important that you're available on all retail, on all that is working on user adoption. That's also very important, because an investor that starts to study the market of usage, of utility, that's another important factor. And Bitcoin Core does not have it. Investor adoption does not create a network effect. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 or 1,000,000 investors, because when they don't pump the value or raise the value of the coin, but they don't create a network effect. It's only when you start using it that retail customers that use it, the higher the value is for everybody else that wants to join. And that's something a Bitcoin Cash actively working that is really attracting new users. How? By they can make money writing articles, and they can make money commenting, although that has been clamped upon very hard. It is a very hard work, of course, to get something working well like this, but Rethought Cash is going up fast in amount of readers. You have 2 steps forward, 1 step. The Bitcoin Cash community, you will notice that the new users, they come from Rethought Cash. They are usually poor people from poorer countries, but that's because they also notice that actually they can make more money if they know something about Bitcoin Cash, and if they write articles about or animals. users that also use the currency as a payment method. Somebody is calling Bitcoin Cash B Cash and B Trash. It's like these kind of inserts, you still get a good indicator that you're on the right track, huh? That you are making a great investment. Because the world is like, most people are cowards. Most people, they are not courageous, and they prefer. And, as on the play yard when we were children, when you see a bully, most will be quiet and they will join the bully even. And there are very few people that stand up to a bully and go for what is right and are courageous to, for example, defend the maybe smart but weak, physically weak nerd. But that's really what needs to happen, because the bully will not create anything of value for society. He will not create a great product or service. It's the smart nerd that is not physically strong that will be creating a valuable product or service, and that needs to be defended. But most people, and even in the cryptocurrency community today, are just cowards, and they love to join the bully and insult and put down the smaller project that is actually creating value. And you have many parasites also in society. People that see this, the nerd, but okay, he's very poor in social communication, and he's very bad with the girls, but many people will try to take advantage and will try to exploit the nerd and rent seek the nerd, and this is what's also happening in Bitcoin. Many people see, wow, a great project, let's try to squeeze the value out of it in a destructive manner, and that happened to Bitcoin Core, not allowing it to scale and forcing people to use a second layer where you can charge transaction fees. It's rent seeking. It is keeping the growth down for your own profit. And the same Amaury Séchet tried with implementing a dev tax. He didn't get enough donations, voluntary donations, because, well, he's been acting like a dick to me also. At the time, I had donated a lot to Bitcoin ABC. He couldn't even say thank you. Like, that's not nice, that's not friendly. Only dicks do that. And he was not nice to many other people. And then of course he doesn't get many donations after. Would you give tons of money to someone who can't, again, to someone who hasn't even said thank you for the tons of money he got before? Of course not. So, but he doesn't take any personal responsibility over these things, and he blames the community for not giving enough money to him, and blames the business model that it doesn't work, voluntary donations, and that he should implement a dev tax, like that he gets a piece of the block reward. Every block reward, normally the block reward is the new coins, the new bitcoins that come in circulation go to miners. They all go to miners to secure the network. That's how Bitcoin was designed by Satoshi. And that means, yes, there are no payments for developers, and there are also no payments for marketeers, also no payments for app developers that build on top of it. Nothing. The only one that get paid is the miners from the inflation, and that goes down over time. There is less inflation over time. That's the business model. And so how do they get paid? Well, the same way you get paid in other open source projects like Linux, or you get paid by building a business on top of it. And if you just focused on building the infrastructure without building a business on top of it, you have to ask for donations. And if you do a good job, you build great infrastructure for an open source project, there will be donations coming in from businesses that build on top of it. With Linux you don't have that, but with cryptocurrency you actually have investors, many investors that hold the coins. They will also donate, because it's very important for them that the infrastructure improves, so that you have more businesses building on top of it. So there are lots of sources of donations. But of course, in order to raise donations, you have to ask for them. He couldn't even ask for them. His ego was so big that he felt it was an insult to his person to ask for donations. No, instead he would bitch for donations, bitch on Roger Ver that he should give him more. Like seriously, it doesn't work like that in an open source project. And and so he tried to change the open source project into a, well, into his project, because the moment he gets, in not only miners, but he gets personally guaranteed income from the inflation, from the block reward. It's his project at that moment. It's his. He can't be fired. He'll be paid even if he's smoking joints all day in France. He'll still get paid. That was what he tried to accomplish with Bitcoin Cash. An absolute treason towards the values of a peer-to-peer cash, of sound money, of be your own bank. That's the ideal of Bitcoin. Be your own bank, and you can only be your own bank if they're not rent seekers sipping off value from the project. Only then you can say it's sound money. When you don't have parasites leeching onto it. And a great day today that he totally failed in that, and that he'll have to run his own little coin to try to prove his new business model, and not fuck up Bitcoin Cash in the process. But the person that asked me about why do you believe in Bitcoin Cash? There's so many innovations, so many new projects. For example, stable coins. Stable coins are of no importance, of course. That's not competition of Bitcoin. That should not even be mentioned. It's a fiat currency with much more counterparty risk than just holding US dollars or euros. So it's absolutely like, people really don't understand the dynamics of cryptocurrency when they think stable coins will compete with Bitcoin as a payment method. No. I will take a look at the comments. Yeah, there people wonder why not destroy the other project. With a hash war, you can, for example, many Bitcoin core miners could do a 51% attack on Bitcoin Cash because it uses the same algorithm, but that's not happening. Why? You people used to think that would happen, but it's not happening. And it's not happening because the incentives are not there. Like, you could spend your money as a miner to destroy another project, but that doesn't make you money. In contrast, mining positively for Bitcoin Core will make the money, but using that same hash power to attack Bitcoin Cash, that doesn't make money. So that's why it's not happening. That's why also the coins that fork off BSV, and today how will it be called, BCHA or BCA or something, BA Amory coin, it will not be 51% attacked by the Bitcoin Cash miners. They just coexist, and I think that's indeed the right approach. You should try to outcompete by building, not by trying to destroy other projects. but I'm very, very bullish on Bitcoin Cash, because I believe, yeah, it's people that create value, and having, um, it's very important. The lead implementation, which has now become BCHN as of today, um, or that will become clear as of tomorrow. Well, it's very important how that is managed. Um, Same for the marketeers, like the people that are the face of a cryptocurrency. It's very important how they market it. It makes all the difference, whether people will say yes or no, whether people will buy in or not. All depends on how the marketeers promote it. And well, we have the best cryptocurrency marketeer in the world, as Roger Ver. He does an amazing job and has convinced so many people to join Bitcoin at the time, and today to join Bitcoin Cash. So we are standing out there. But when it comes to the developers, we were not really performing well with Amaury Séchet, who was the lead dev. He wasn't making good calls, and it really stalled the project. So I have a much better confidence today in the BCHN team. It's led by Free Trader, who is, I think, a much better developer, much more open, but it's also more decentralized in that, well, they have an actual, their ideals are to develop based on evidence. Like if you prove that a certain improvement to the client is better with evidence, well, it will be accepted. So there's a rational, logic, evidence-based approach to development that is very important. But also, there is also a collaboration approach with the other nodes. Like Amaury Séchet wanted to do HT, one other client, because, well, the guy was just following Amaury Séchet. Others were more critical and tried to push forward different innovations in Bitcoin Cash, like Bitcoin Unlimited. Were constantly criticized by Amaury Séchet, and that's of course not how you get a collaborative about it. Of course, people will stop contributing then, and I think with BCHN and the team that's formed around it, yeah, they will be much more collaborative with the other clients and allow outsiders, even people that are not connected to a client, to contribute. So yeah, I'm very bullish on that. That's really where. So yeah, I'm very bullish on that. That's really where value is innovated a lot. Flipstarter was by Mike Hearn at the time to solve the Bitcoin core. The Bitcoin core. Let me put the music. How is it going here, baby? Yeah, is Mikey happy? Good. And you? Are you? Hi, Mikey. How are you? I'll put it a little bit softer, or maybe you can put the Bluetooth off, and watch, listen to the audio there, huh? So the funding problems are an old story. It was already the case with Bitcoin Core at the time. Put a little bit softer, baby. That the developers at the time were complaining about not getting enough money, and then the Bitcoin Foundation was set up. Olivier Janssens was a major contributor there, and you wouldn't believe it, but even David Allen was involved at the time, siphoning off funds away from the Bitcoin Foundation and putting it in his own pocket. The same happened again with Amaury Séchet, Bitcoin ABC. He also raised money there. David Allen also gave him a ton of money a year and a half ago, in the middle of 2019, and he also didn't do anything with it and ran with the money and didn't reply to any messages. So actually, this story of funding is an old problem, a big problem that had to be solved. And Mike Hearn at the time invented, I forgot the name of the project, but a system where people could more easily donate to projects in Bitcoin based on proposals, initiatives of building something for infrastructure, marketing, and then people could donate to it. He had invented something like that, but it wasn't developed, and he ended up leaving Bitcoin, the Bitcoin project altogether. And he was the main contributor together with Gavin Andresen that created value for Bitcoin at the time. Both of them left. But it was picked up again by Imaginary Username and many others. Jonathan Silverblood. There were many other people involved in creating something for Bitcoin Cash that would solve the funding, the voluntary funding problem, and make it a efficient process where voluntary funding actually happens. And they invented Flipstarter, and yeah, it's an assurance contract. So what's good about it is that yes, you can pledge. Projects have to ask for a certain amount, for example, 100 bitcoins to do this or that, and then you can pledge, let's say 10 bitcoin, and others can also pledge, but you can see who pledges how much, which is very easy because then you can see, does the project have support by other people that I admire? For me, for example, I don't have to study the project in depth. When I see certain people that I trust donate to it, I already know that, okay, this is a project of quality that's supported, and then it's much easier to decide than to pledge myself and for how much. But I don't even lose my money. It's only when he reaches the total amount of 100 Bitcoin that it will go from my account, and not before that. And before that, I can still change my mind and cancel the pledge or raise the pledge. So it's a very good way to, but especially it gives also a reputation to donors. That was really missing in previous before, because when you donate, you also want to like be rewarded for that, and of course not with money, but with like a thank you and with reputation. And you have that now, because when you donate, people can see how much you donate and to which projects, and that's very, very good. It motivates people to donate. So they did an amazing job, and it's true innovation for cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency, you don't have many choices in business model. Either it's voluntary or it's not. And when it's not, there are many business models tried. A piece of the inflation goes to the developers. We saw it in Decred, we saw it in Zcash, in Dash also, but is it working? No, it's not working well, because it centralizes the project. The moment you get a piece of the inflation goes to a development team, well, that's the only development team that will remain. They will also not want competition. They don't want to like share those funds with others, and you get, it's not decentralized. It's one development team with one lead developer, and he can be compromised once you are in such a situation. So luckily we saw all that, and that also helped the community of Bitcoin Cash to realize that no, we're not going to go the same direction as Zcash or Dash or Decred. That's not going to make Bitcoin into a success. We need to keep it decentralized, and we need to really see voluntary funding succeed. And today it succeeded for Bitcoin Cash. There's so many projects that have launched the Flipstarter and got funded. Others not, like Amaris also tried the Flipstarter, got zero, literally close to zero. Not even 1 or 2% of his fundraiser was people wanted to give, because of course he has no goodwill left. And then other projects that failed with Flipstarter also. Hayden Otto, a marketeer that did great job for Bitcoin Cash, but has been very for the implementing the death tax, and thereby of course pushed away many people and lost all his goodwill. Also did not succeed in getting funded, but other projects have, many projects have. It's already 6,000 Bitcoin Cash that has been donated to Flipstarter, and many more Bitcoin Cash has been donated to the different nodes. BCHN raised 2,000 Bitcoin Cash alone, and many others 500 or more Bitcoin Cash of the 4 other clients or 5 other nodes. So voluntary funding is really a big. It's really working very well, and it's true that most comes from whales like me, but that's normal. Like that's just how it goes. When I was a smaller investor, I wasn't donating left and right, because you're focused on building your portfolio, building wealth, trying to get out of the rat race and stay and trying to not be poor. That's your first priority. But once you've reached that, then you can start to focus. Then of course it becomes much more important. Then you also are investing a lot more money in these projects, And you also can more easily give a percentage away to guarantee that the project succeeds. So that's only normal that you get such a kind of distribution. But many small investors in Bitcoin Cash are also donating, and that's also very good to see. So yeah, I think therefore that the fundamentals of Bitcoin Cash have improved tremendously, while it doesn't show in the price, and that's of course a great thing. But most fundamentally, why Bitcoin Cash? Because it's Bitcoin. People don't like to hear that. You're hated to say that, but it is true. It is Bitcoin. Bitcoin. It's not that Bitcoin Cash is a fork from Bitcoin Core. No. Technically, yes, it forked off from Bitcoin Core in August 2017. But Bitcoin Core changed fundamentally how it operates by implementing SegWit, by not raising the block size, by having expensive transactions today, not able to create users new applications on top of it. It's fundamentally different than what Bitcoin was supposed to be. So who forked away from who? You can make a case for both, or you can keep it fair and say, Bitcoin, it's not there anymore the way it used to be. Now you have different Bitcoins, and they each have their different philosophy and different approach to how they think they will succeed in the market. And if you look at it that way, yeah, Bitcoin Cash is indeed working for the most part the way Bitcoin originally worked. And that is a proven model. Bitcoin has proved in the past to work with cheap transactions, scaling on chain, being focused on adoption of peer-to-peer cash. Like it has proven to work. It was a slow growth in merchants, but towards the end, even big retailers like Steam Games, Expedia Traveling, even Microsoft, at the end, they were all accepting Bitcoin as a currency. Today, they all dropped it again because they think that Bitcoin, is not usable anymore, and that's true for Bitcoin Core, but Bitcoin Cash is still the same as it was. And so over time, as Bitcoin Cash rebuilds itself, you could say, but actually it's not only rebuilding, it really did implement innovations that Bitcoin at the time never succeeded in, such as voluntary funding. Flipstarter is a big innovation that Bitcoin needed to do in 2014 and 2015 and failed to do, and therefore it got captured. Well, Bitcoin Cash pushed through this innovation, and therefore it's not only rebuilding, it's also really expanding on what Bitcoin should have done at the time to become a success, and it's doing it today. So it's a proven model with some innovations that were really needed, and so I think it will do very well. We're gonna have to close it down, guys. Sorry, I cannot go through all the comments here. Thanks so much for joining, and I hope you also invest in Bitcoin Cash. It is needed for the project. It really needs to go up in value, and that can only happen by people like you buying it and stashing it. So I hope you do it to help the project, and I also think it will become a very, very good investment, and certainly deserves a exposure in a portfolio. Thanks for joining, and have a great day.